Risk analysis in capital budgeting. In capital budgeting techniques, generally we assume that investment proposals does not involve any risk and cash flows are very certain. That is the general assumption. That is why what we do is we just estimating the cash flows and we are whatever the future cash flows we are bringing into present values, and those present values also we assumed like those are certain. So this assumption was taken into simplify the understanding the capital budgeting techniques. But however, in practice, this assumption is not correct. In fact, investment projects are exposed to various degrees and types of risks. So, what is risk and uncertainty? Risk can be measured, but uncertainty cannot be measured. Let us go with the simple explanation. A decision to take up or leave out a project, whether to take or leave out a project, depends on the expectations of future cash flows. Such expectations are based on information that is currently available with us. The future is a definition. By definition, it is uncertain. Therefore, cash flows, when they occur, are likely to differ from what were expected. You may expect 1 lakh in future, but when it comes to reality, it may depends on the situation. It may depends on the future. So that is why future is uncertain. This uncertainty about future cash flows gives rise to risk. But risk is not the same as uncertainty. Risk can be measured, but uncertainty cannot be measured. Risk applies where the decision maker is willing to act on probabilities. There can be three types of decision. First one, decision making and under certainty. So, decision maker always thinks when cash flows are certain. So, what will be the decision? When cash flows involves risk, then he'll apply probabilities. When cash flows are uncertain and probabilities cannot be assigned. So these are the three decision making types. So reasons for adjustment of risk in capital budgeting decision. The main reasons for considering the risk in capital budgeting decision are as follows. First one, there is an opportunity cost. See, if we have two proposals, we are considering only one proposal which is having best returns. In the sense, we are losing another investment option, right? So we did not consider any risk out of this project. What if we consider risk, then that factor decides which one is the best. There is an opportunity cost involved while investing in a project for the level of risk. Adjustment of risk is necessary to help make the decision whether the returns out of the project are proportionate with the risk on, and whether it is worth investing in the project or the other investments. So the second reason is risk adjustment is required to know the real value of cash inflows. Higher risks will lead to higher risk premium and also expectation of higher return. So if you are expecting high return, in the sense you are ready to take the higher risk. So techniques of risk analysis in capital budgeting. The techniques are statistical techniques and conventional techniques and other techniques. So in statistical techniques, probability, variance or standard deviation, coefficient variation. These are the three statistical techniques. Conventional techniques are risk adjusted discount rate, certainty equivalent cash inflows. Certainty equivalent coefficient also. So other techniques are sensitivity analysis and scenario analysis. These are the techniques of risk analysis in capital budgeting. Let us go with these techniques one by one. First one, statistical techniques. In the statistical techniques, probability. So probability is a measure about the chances that an event will occur. If you toss a coin, so what will be the probability to give the result as a head? So when an event is certain to occur, probability will be 1. So in this example, what I told you, if you toss a coin, so what is the probability of occurrence of event having head? 50% chances are there. That is why the chances that an event will occur. What are the chances? So if you are expecting 1 lakh rupees, how much is chance is there? Only 50% chance is there or 70% chance is there. Likewise, you have to define. So when there is no chance of happening, an event probability will be 0. There is no chance, no expectation. So if there is no chance, probability will be 0. So expected cash flows. Expected cash flows are calculated as the sum of likely cash flows of project multiplied by the probability of cash flows. So if you are expecting 1 lakh rupees and the possibility of that 1 lakh occur in future is having only 50% chances, then consider only 50%. If you multiply that 1 lakh into 50%, then you will get how much? 50,000. In the sense 50% only. So that is the expected cash flows. So how to calculate the expected NPV? Step 1, find out the expected cash flows. Cash flow into respective probability. So that we'll have expected cash flows. Second step, find out present value of expected cash flows. In the sense, whatever the expected cash flow you calculated, you have to convert into present values by using present value factor. So expected cash flows into PV factor. Third step, find out the expected NPV of the project. PV of cash inflows minus PV of cash outflows. So, illustration 1. Probability is for net cash flows for 3 years of project are as follows. So, year 1, year 2 and year 3. If you do remember in capital budgeting illustrations, so year 1 so and so amount, year 2 so and so amount, year 3 so and so amount. Likewise, it appears. But it has three multiple columns with the cash flows and their probabilities. So if you do calculate all this probability, so the total of probability will be 1. See, 1 plus 2, 3, 3 plus 3, 6, 6 plus 4, 10. 10 in the sense 1.0. Here also, probability will be 0, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 10 in the sense 1. Here also 1, 2, 3, 4. So total is 1. So all these are only 1. Okay. Calculate the expected net cash flows. Also calculate the net present value of the expected cash flows using 10% discount rate. Initial investment is 10,000. So PV of outflows 10,000. So let us calculate the expected cash flows and expected net present value. Statement showing calculation of expected net cash flows. So here I am considering the same table as given in the illustration, year 1, year 2 and year 3 cash flows and their respective probabilities. So we have to calculate the expected values, expected cash flow values. So 0.1 into 2000 is 200 and 4000 into 0.2 is 800. 6000 into 0.3 comes around 800, sorry 1800. So 0.4 into 8000, it is 3200. So as I told you, expected net cash flows. So expected net cash flows for year 1 is 6000. So for year 2, so 2000 into 0.2, that is 400 and 1200 and 2400 and 800. We have to multiply cash flows with the probabilities. So probability, if we multiply with the probability in the sense, so there is only 0.2% chances are there to get the 2000. That is why the chances for 0.2, the value of 2000 will be 400. So likewise, we have to consider all the probabilities and their respective cash flows. So these are the expected values of cash flows. Now, statement showing calculation of NPV, net present value. So this one you know very well. So another statement, another statement showing calculation of net present value. This one is very easy. So ES and expected cash flows. So in the 0 year, 10,000 rupees cash outflow. It is mentioned in the illustration 10,000 initial investment. So in the 0 year, PV factor will be 1. So at 10% discount rate, we have to consider the present value factors. So at 10%, PV factors will be 0.909 and 0.826 and 0.751 for 3 years. So the the expected cash flows for the year 1, it is 6,000, and for year 2, 4,800, and for year 3, 4,200. So we have to calculate the present values for the expected cash flows. So obviously NP will be in positive because inflows are higher than the outflows. So NPV is equal 2573. This is how we have to calculate the expected values and the expected net present value by using probabilities. So once again, we have to multiply cash flows with the respective probabilities. Then we'll get the expected values. So all these are belongs to first year only. So the expectation level, the chances of occurring level, there is only one chance is there for to get the 2000 rupees. Likewise, we have to expect the values for the year 1.